I think everyone needs to have that affirmation in their head, because you're here for a reason. You got into grad school, you applied and got in. Like, you're here for a reason, you're smart enough to be here, and you're gonna do great. Hey everyone, welcome back to another video, and if you're new to my channel, hi, I'm Nandria. So as you guys can tell by the title of this video, I will be giving you guys my grad school update. And for those of you who don't know or who may have forgotten, this is my first year in the Developmental Psych PhD program at FSU, and I just finished week 7, and there's like 15 weeks in the semester, but the last week doesn't really count. So this is literally halfway into the semester, and you guys, it's been a whirlwind. I don't even know like how to put it in one sentence. Just know that it has been a lot. So that's why I thought it would be a good idea to give you guys an update, so that those of you who are thinking about going to grad school, you guys can have like a kind of inside look into how it is. And for those of you who already are in grad school, we can just talk and relate, because this is what all these grad school vlogs are about, just so that people out there can see what grad school life is like, especially for a Black young woman. So with that being said, let's get right into this video. So I'm gonna start from like the very beginning of like me moving down to Florida. So I'm originally from New York, and I was going to drive down to Florida, but my family was not with that, because it's a 16-hour drive and my car is kind of old. So they were like, that's not safe, and like you can't drive all that way by yourself. And you guys, I was with it because I'm a driver. Like, I love driving, but I really sat down and thought about it, and I was like, yeah, they're probably right. So instead I took the auto train. I don't know if you guys know that, but it's a train that it only has 2 stops, and you can travel with your car on the train. So that's what I used, and that was actually it wasn't as bad. It was the same length as driving, which I thought was stupid, but it's better because you're like comfy, you're not chilling, you don't have to pay toll, you can eat on the train, all that, and they like social distance and everything on the train. So it was like you know in the planes when you have the 2 aisles, so it would be one person in a seat, but they did every other row, so you wouldn't be in the same row as someone. It would be like someone was there, then you're here, then someone is there, then you're here. So that's how it was. So on the safety precaution side, they definitely took the safety precautions that were necessary, and it was fine. So once I got to literally the second I got to Tallahassee, I had orientation, because I could only move in on the 17th. That was the earliest they could allow people to move in, and my orientation was on the 17th. So I literally just like got my keys and then went to orientation, and that's how it was. So I didn't have much of a what's the word I'm looking for? Introduction to the city. So I originally wanted to move with time to like get to know the city, get to know like where food places are, where I can get my gas, like stuff like that. But I didn't have, because like I said, they only allow people to move on the 17th, and classes started the 24th. So literally I only had a week to like get my life together before classes started, and that was not possible. I'm not even gonna lie to you. It's not possible to move to a whole different state and then try and just get your life together in a week. Not possible at all, especially because during that week before classes started, I had orientation literally like every day except one day. So I was in orientation Monday, Wednesday, Thursday. Yeah, I didn't have orientation Tuesday and Friday, something like that. So I was stuck between setting up my room, going to orientation, getting my life together, going to orientation, and then when I wasn't in orientation, I had to do stuff for like legal stuff, like switch my what's it called, my state residency, get a license from out here, and like get all those important documents. So I really barely had any time, you guys. I was going to bed at like 3 a.m. and waking up at like 7 a.m. and I'm not a morning person at all, so I was really tired throughout that whole process. But it wasn't that bad overall now that I'm looking at it, because clearly I made it through, so it must have not been that bad. But during it, I was like, dang, I'm ready for this to be over. So during orientation, we scheduled for classes, and to be considered a full-time student in grad school, you have to take 9 credits, which is equivalent to 3 classes. So right now I'm taking 3 classes. I'm taking ANOVA, which is a statistics class, developmental psychology, which is a core class, and policy issues in reading, which it's outside of the psychology department, but it's considered one of the advanced classes that you're required to take like a certain amount of advanced classes, and it is considered an advanced class. So I am taking those 3 classes, and you guys, I'm gonna give you the rundown right now. Don't let the number fool you. 3 classes in grad school is considered full-time because they know that is a lot. Because in undergrad, I will be taking 18 credits, which is 6 classes. The least I ever took was 15 credits, which is 5 classes. Yeah. And I thought that was a lot. So I'm like, okay, 3 classes, it's fine. I can do. No. Because they require so much outside of class time that's why they say don't take more than 3 classes. So let's go in order. My statistics class is asynchronous. So that means that he records the lectures, he posts them, and he gives you homework. That class has been my hardest class so far because it's just like, for me, it's kind of hard to learn how to code and understand all the mechanisms and reasoning behind the coding online. So for that class, I do have to take an extra bit of effort to make sure that I understand. Like, it'll take, like, the homeworks, you guys, I'm not kidding you guys, the homework will be 3 questions, 2 to 3 questions, and it will take me 4 hours. 4 hours. I'm not even kidding. Because you have to understand, like, why you're using this test, and why, because you're using this test, you can't use that test. You can't use that test, and then why, because you're using this test, then the next steps will be to do this, and then after that you have to understand what the interpretation of the results are, and then you also have to code the test to run the data, and it's just a lot. It's just a lot. And also the software that I'm using is not user friendly. Like, even the professor says it. Like, I'm using R, and usually I'm used to using SPSS, which is much simpler than R. But the reason why I'm using R instead of SPSS is because the other girls in my lab, they said that R is better for like when you're further along in your career. So I was just like, let me just get a jump on it right now. For this class, he grades the homework based on submission, not on correctness. So it's kind of like, you know, at times when it's really hard, you're just like, I'm not even gonna get graded if it's right or not, so like, just do something. So that kind of throws it off a bit. But we have 2 things that are graded in the class, which is the midterm and the final, and they're worth 70% of our grade. So it's best to like really put your best foot forward, even though you know the homeworks aren't going to be fully graded, because you have to apply what you know in the homework to the midterm and the final. And the midterm is next week, so your girl is already anxious about it. And office hours in grad school are basically like office hours in undergrad. You can go there and just sit there, and people will ask questions, and you're like, oh, that makes sense, or like, oh, I should have asked that, or yeah, I didn't understand that either. So I feel like it's just good to go, because you can still learn something either way, which is pretty good. Another thing that I like about office hours, it makes me feel like I'm not alone, because people would definitely ask questions that I also didn't understand. I'm like, okay, so I'm not the only one that doesn't understand, because the class is asynchronous, so you don't see anybody, you don't know who's struggling, you don't know who's good at it, you know. So it's definitely good to finally see someone talking about the material. So yeah, I was slacking on office hours before, but like I said, now it's 9 a.m. Now I'm really gonna put an effort into going to office hours. And then my second class, my policy issues in reading class, that class is in person. And at first I was kind of worried about that, but there's only 10 people in the class, including my professor. No, yeah, because I think 1 student dropped. So there's 10 people in the class, including my professor. So it's very easy to social distance. We all wear a mask, and it's pretty good. So originally I did have problems in the class because it's more of a policy-based class than a context-based class, if that makes sense. Like, you're not just taking notes and whatever, you're actually like learning about actual stuff that's going on right now. Like, we talked about No Child Left Behind, and we talked about A Nation at Risk, and everything is connected for this class. Like, she gives us the historical background, and we started doing that in the beginning of the semester, but now as we go along, she's like, this connects to that we covered, and this connects to that we covered. So it all connects, and it also makes sense because in the beginning of the class, she's always like, it's a timeline, and she makes the little marks and stuff. So the reason why I was struggling though was because I'm not used to all these policies. Like, I had no clue what I had some clue of what A Nation at Risk was, but I didn't know why it came to be, or like how the public responded to it, or like what policies came from it. So that's basically what we cover in that class. So I had to like set up a meeting with her to tell her that I feel like, because with classes that aren't like statistics, you have to contribute to the class because you're graded on participation and then the assignments that they give you. But participation is a good chunk of the grade because you have to show them that you're learning something, and that you're able to connect what you're learning to, like, I don't know, like research findings or like stuff like that. I hope I'm making sense. So I wasn't really contributing in the beginning of the class because I was more trying to take in information instead of trying to like comment on what I thought. But once I met with her, she was like, no, like, if you think something is wrong, say that. If you connect it to something that's not even related to it, say that. Like, she's saying, just don't be shy in like what you're thinking about sharing, because it can be useful. And then she was also talking about like imposter syndrome, which is something that I realized, like, before I knew I had it, but it's gotten worse now that I'm actually in grad school because I'm surrounded by people that are above me, if that makes sense. So like my policy class specifically, it has people who are once teachers, it has second-year PhD students, or it has students who are familiar with this work already. So I would always, another reason why I was so shy is because I felt like I didn't have anything useful to contribute, and I didn't want to come off as like stupid. I'm not even gonna like try and sugarcoat that. I didn't want to come off as stupid. So that's why I didn't say anything. But she's like, no, like, you have something useful to contribute and you are here for a reason. And I think everyone needs to have that affirmation in their head, because you're here for a reason. You got into grad school, you applied and got in. Like, you're here for a reason, you're smart enough to be here, and you're gonna do great. So that's something that I had to start telling myself. And literally once I started doing that, it made a complete 180, you guys. I started contributing in class, and I just started building off of my peers' comments and stuff like that, and I really enjoy the class right now. Like, it's top 2, even though I have 3, but it's a really good class. And now for my developmental psychology class, it's basically the same, except there isn't much outside knowledge. Like, because it's developmental psych, it's kind of like a field that I'm used to because I did psych all through undergrad. So some of the topics that we're talking about, like the founders of psych and the theories in psych, those stuff I'm good on. But once again, I still have to work on contributing to class. So also, one big thing that I did in that class was I led the class, and that was super scary because, one, I'm not really that big of a talker. Like, I'm very concise in what I say. So for me, I was just like, how the hell am I going to lead a 2-hour and some minute class when I can really just only talk for 30 minutes? But we did it. Well, I was doing it with someone else. I was doing it with another classmate, and we did it, and it went pretty good, and I got full points. So I guess I did a good job. So yeah, when it comes to my classes though, one thing I have to do is time management, because 1 week of readings includes like 7 papers. I'm not even kidding you guys. The least amount of papers for my policy issues in class, she gave us 2 readings for 1 week, and I was so excited. And then I opened one of the readings and it was like 60 pages. You guys, that's not OD. And Then for my my developmental psych class, she always gives us a lot of papers, but her papers kind of vary. Like they go from like 10 pages to 14 pages to 20 pages to 40 pages. So yeah, so you can't just like wake up one day and just be like, okay, I'm gonna knock these readings out, because no. Unless you have like some crazy superhuman focus and attention span, no. I literally have to separate my readings into days. So I would start my developmental readings, and then I would take a break. I would start my policy readings, take a break. I would do something completely not related to any of those, and then the next day I would try again, because you really and truly can't read all of them in one. Well, you can, but I just would advise against it, because for you to take in all the information, like make connections, make notes, form questions, all of that stuff, it just takes a lot out of you. So mentally, I would say always start the readings early so that you can take a break and then come back to it later. So for next semester, I'm looking at one class right now. I'm trying to get a second class, because when you have freedom with classes, you fill it up with outside stuff. So like I said, you do have to take 9 credits to be full-time. But for graduate students, if you're taking 1 class or 2 classes, they'll give you an independent research topic to fulfill the full 9 credits. So right now I am full-time, so I'm not doing a lot outside of my classes, but by not a lot, I am still doing something. So recently, there's a conference that's coming up, and my whole lab and we submitted a proposal. And then also there's another conference that's in 2 weeks, and my lab and I submitted 1 proposal, like as a lab, and that got accepted. So stuff like that goes on outside of classes. Also, I am a TA, so that's how I get funding, or my stipend. I'm a TA for 2 classes, and then I am the SONA administrator. Did I say that right? Yeah, so those 3 things are stuff that I do outside of class, as well as like my lab work, kind of, if that makes sense. So this is also where time management comes in super handy, because 3 classes, 2 TA positions, the SONA administrator, and then working with the lab. So that takes up a good chunk of time. I'm not even gonna kid you, because it's just a lot to do, and in the beginning it just feels like 24 hours is not a thing. I'm not gonna kid you guys. So definitely, if you're not good at time management, I would say please try and get it. I use Google Calendar to schedule my time, and then I also use reminders as well. What else do I do? And make to-do lists. So I have a planner that has a to-do list, I have Google Calendar, and then my reminders. So those are the kind of those are the 3 things that I use to try and keep me organized. But yeah, back to what I was saying. So right now I'm looking at 1 class for next semester, so that means that I'll probably be doing more outside of lab stuff, like preparing for my proposal, my conference presentation, helping out with the lab, still doing TA stuff and SONA administrative stuff. Yeah, so the psych department is split into different areas. So there's developmental, cognitive, neuroscience, clinical. Social might be an area, I'm not positive, that's an asterisk. So my entire cohort for all the departments is about 19, about, give or take, but the cohort for developmental is 2. So it's me and another girl who made it into this school year. So it's very weird to interact with people online, well, at least for me. So the one girl that's in my direct cohort, she and I have 1.5 classes together, because I also have pro seminar, but pro seminar isn't a class, it's just like this mandatory professional development kind of thing. So we go to that on Fridays, but that's with all of the students in the developmental area, so I don't really talk to them outside of that. And with my other class, yeah, we like refer to each other and we talk, but it hasn't been anything outside of school. So to answer your question, because I know you're probably asking, no, I have not made any friends. And I'm okay with it because I understand that we're in a pandemic, so it's not like you can just go outside and make some friends. And then also, I'm more of an in-person kind of friend. I don't think I can ever make a friend over Zoom or something. Like, that's weird to me. But I am making an effort. So I have this group chat with a good amount of the Black students in the entire psych department. Yeah. And they're all above, but me and this one girl were both first year, so she's in my 19 cohort. So I like texted her and was like, hey, I haven't made any friends yet, do you want to hang out, whatever. And she was down for it. So if I knew it was that easy, I would have texted her a long time ago about that. But yeah, and also I'm like starting to go out a bit more. Before I would just go out for like grocery shopping, if I needed to get gas, whatever. But now, like, I see events going on and I'll probably go out. But I wouldn't really last long. So like, it's fine. And then also my lab mates. So I literally got lunch with one of the girls in my lab the other day, and she was like, girl, I got you. You haven't made any friends yet? I got you. So she's gonna start inviting me out places and stuff like that. So it's slower than what I thought. I definitely thought I was gonna be making friends like off the jump, but then I have to remember that COVID does play an important factor. Like, our orientation was 100% over Zoom, and usually that's where people find like people that they want to form a bond with, you know? So I'm giving myself till the beginning of next semester to actually make a couple friends. It's an uphill battle, but I think I'm like right at the pivot point thing, whatever. So for now, I just use my old friends as like a buffer for not making any new friends. And at first I thought it was gonna be like hard to keep in contact with them because like they're seniors and like all the stuff that I have going on, but we're all struggling together, and that is 100% fine. I actually talk to my old friends more now than I do before, which is so funny. But I think it's also good because we're all missing each other, and they're also not really going out that much because of COVID. So it kind of like, we're kind of giving each other what the other needs. So that's good, I guess. And now for adulting, you guys. My entire undergrad career, I did not have to adult at all. Like, I had a job, but it was like a part-time job that I barely worked anyway. I didn't have to pay bills. I didn't have to do anything but be a student. But right now, I have to adult. Like, that is the most annoying thing. Like, when I was younger, I was so excited to like have my own place, be an adult, etc. I hate it. Okay, I don't hate it, but it's just very annoying. Like, I have to pay rent, I have to maintain my car, I have to pay utilities, I have to do grocery shopping, I have to cook a lot. Because I also started working out, and my appetite has gotten crazy huge since I started working out. So like, I literally eat like 4 times a day now, and before I used to eat 1 or 2 times a day. Now I eat 4 times a day, and I'm just like, why? So with adulting definitely comes some responsibilities. I have not, now I'm gonna give you my experience, you guys, but I'm letting you know now that I have not mastered this at all. But some things I have tried is budgeting and just writing down everything. Like, if I had to buy a tire the other day, I wrote that down. I had to, like, with my nails, I can't like automatically do the card things. So I have to go inside to like tell them how much to put for the gas or whatever. And my tank takes a lot. Like, my car takes premium gas, and then I think it's like 18 gallons in the tank. So I would usually overestimate so that I can have enough to fill the tank. But sometimes like it'll be way under what I overestimate, so I have to write that down to make sure I get that refund. I have to write down when I paid my rent. I have to write down when and how much. I have to write down when and how much I paid my utilities, all of that stuff. Like literally everything I just write down. And I can't really budget because I'm not gonna lie to you, I don't know how to budget, because yes, I know how much I'm making, but at the same time it's just like expenses pop up all the time, so I don't know how much to set aside for this, that, and the third. But I have started saving. I definitely set aside about like 10 or 20% every paycheck to my savings, and then I take out a portion so that I can add up to my rent for the next month. But then it's just like sometimes I like to eat out, or I haven't shopped as much, so that's good. But when I do shop, that plays a part. So I don't really know how to budget for real. I've been watching YouTube videos, but they're not helping that much, and I've been asking my friends, but they don't really need to budget that much. So I feel like eventually I will learn, but right now I have no clue what I'm doing. I just know that I'm just doing what I need to do to make sure I'm not 100% broke. But yeah, that is all that I have experienced so far in my 8 weeks out here, but 7 weeks of grad school. And like I said, it's been a whirlwind. There's been times when I've cried probably like 2 times. I'm not gonna gas it. I've cried like twice because it just felt like so much was going on and not enough time to do it. And because of that, I definitely think I need to go back to therapy. I did therapy when I was in undergrad, and I thought I was good now, but it's, even if you feel like you're good, it's always good to have someone to talk to and help like guide your mind and all of that stuff. So I definitely will have to try and find a therapist out here. The only thing with that is the therapists I've had have all been white, so I haven't been able to fully disclose what I've been going through and how I feel. So when I do decide to pick up therapy again, I will definitely make sure that I can find a black woman, because I feel like that's the closest, not the closest, that's the only person that I can really relate to and be able to fully get my money's worth of therapy from someone that's like me. Also, another thing that I think that I need to work on is my sleep schedule. So in the beginning, I used to once 11 o'clock hit, I was like, I'm going to bed. But now that things have picked up, I just would go until like I just can't go anymore, and usually that's like 2 a.m. and then I wake up either 8 a.m. but feel extremely tired the whole day, or wake up at like 10 a.m. and I'm just like, damn, I lost 2 hours. So I definitely have to work on like setting boundaries when it comes to like work-life balance, because work is definitely interfering with life. So yeah, and also I definitely need to plan more me time, because like I said, work is getting a lot, and now that we're halfway through the semester, it's very important for me to maintain a work-life balance, because it only gets harder from here. And I don't want to say that to discourage anyone, because I 100% do not regret going to grad school right after undergrad, because there's something I want to do. Like, I have plans for the future, and this is one step to get me closer to that plan. So I'm gonna push through, and I actually enjoy my classes and enjoy the people around me. Like, my lab, people in my lab are really sweet. My advisor is really she's really sweet, and she's really understanding as well. So because of all of that, I just feel like I definitely should be here, and I definitely have to be here, but it's just like I don't want to burn out too quickly, if that makes sense. So I definitely have to start figuring out things that I can do to like get my mind off of school. And I have asked around this, people have suggested pottery classes, kayaking, all that stuff that I am interested in. I even found about zip lining out here, so I definitely will check that out. But I'm just, you know, I just have to do it. But yeah, you guys, that is my grad school update, and I hope I answered any questions that you guys might have. But of course, if I have not, please comment down below and I will make sure to get to that. If you like this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel, and I will see you all in the next video.